Let's return, though, to the icy wastes of Heathrow and elsewhere, and the latest on the weather with Colin.
Mark, thanks very much indeed. Yes, welcome back to Heathrow. It's running today. They've got to get it right, really, after the problems of the weekend. 400,000 people ordinarily would have passed through this weekend just gone. Pretty much the busiest weekend of the year for Heathrow. One of the world's busiest airports, of course. And lots of people using it as a hub to get to different parts of the world, get back in time for Christmas, of course. That was the plan, wasn't it? Instead, many people had to camp out overnight in some of the hotels, which rapidly booked up. As you can imagine, a lot of people eventually defaulted to that old staple that we've seen in recent weeks, sleeping on the floor of some of the terminal buildings. Well, here's hopefully something which will cheer some of those people who are watching in those terminal buildings, watching the news channels to see what's going on. Some of them complaining that the official information sources aren't that rich right now. That's some de-icing going on. They've been feverishly working away on some of the aircraft because there is one runway working here at Heathrow. It's the northern runway, not the southern runway, which has still had problems. The northern runway is working. There are taking off and landings going on there right now, so it's in use sporadically. Half of all flights have been cancelled this morning at Heathrow, but that is actually a big improvement on what was happening yesterday, when only a trickle, only a fraction got away to foreign climes and other parts of the UK as well. Well, the worry will be not only that things are still gridlocked in many parts of the country and at the airports, but also that more snow's coming. It's coming particularly to the southwest, as well as parts of Scotland, the northeast of England as well. Let's go to the southwest of England now then. Peter Sharp is in Exeter, trying to assess what the picture is there. Peter, I've just been told where I'm standing, it's -6. What's it like where you are?
Yeah, it's a little bit colder than that here. This is an area, it's worth remembering, Devon and Cornwall, that's not really used to these very, very heavy snows. It's been spared the worst of this winter so far, but that all changed around 11 o'clock last night when this very heavy weather front moved in across Land's End and started moving eastward. In the next 6 hours, it dumped more than 6 inches of snow across the region. I was talking to people at Exeter Airport. That's completely closed down. They're talking about possibly opening later in the afternoon. That could even be unlikely. They've lost 10 flights, including, I might add, the Lapland Express. The conditions here show no sign of improving for some time. We're now suffering from very heavy freezing fog in the area. Devon County Council have thrown a full emergency operations scheme at this, but at the moment they're admitting that most of the county is simply just shut down.
OK, Peter, thanks very much indeed for now. Let's talk to Andrew Teacher, who's a spokesman for the British Airports Authority, BAA. Andrew, a very good morning to you. Andrew joining us from central London. Forgive me, actually, from West London. Andrew, to put it mildly, BAA have faced a lot of flack in recent days. Boris Johnson, the Mayor of London, apparently phoning you up and threatening all kinds of stuff. Willie Walsh, head of BA, of course, said to be furious. You're taking a lot of criticism. Is it justified?
I think people are obviously very justified in their anger. There's many thousands of people that have had their holiday plans disrupted, and we're extremely sorry for that. The focus at the minute is really on clearing the runway, making the airport safe and getting as many people on their way as possible. Our airside operations teams have been working flat out over the last couple of days. We've had hundreds of extra people drafted in last night, specialists just on the runway alone, as well as the thousands of people that have been handing out water, coffee and tea, food, blankets around the airport to people. There's mattresses that have come in, as well as the blankets you've been seeing on the pictures that you've got. And we've also switched on Wi-Fi to enable people to check their airlines' websites and to contact relatives. And we're hoping that more people are going to be able to get away today, but we do need to stress that there are severe disruptions over the next couple of days, and as you've said on your weather bulletins, temperatures have remained extremely low. We've had -11 overnight, which obviously hasn't helped much with the snow and ice, and we're looking at more snow later in the week. So the key message for passengers is to check with your airline before setting off for the airport, because what we don't want is more people descending on Heathrow and then being disappointed when they get there that their flights aren't going to be moving.
OK, we'll talk about what's going to happen today and perhaps tomorrow in just a moment, but let's just focus, if we can, on what happened at the weekend. There is a sense It's articulated in some of the newspapers today that you were caught on the hop a little bit at the weekend. Some people pointing out to the fact that when the decision was taken to close the airport, you then had a 90-minute gap before the news was communicated to the general public. So you had people pitching up, still expecting planes to be taking off, actually to find out the airport was closed. It's no personal criticism, but were you caught on the hop? Did you get things wrong at the weekend? It's often a time when people are a bit more vulnerable and systems don't work as they should.
Well, in terms of communicating with passengers, we've been on it 24/7. I haven't slept for 2 days for speaking with the media, and we have been speaking with Sky News as soon as things have been happening, either at the airport itself or in your studio here. And I think the problem that we have is that, you can put something out on Sky News saying that the airport is shut, but obviously people come from quite a long distance to use Heathrow. It's the world's international hub airport. So, even if we put something out, say, at 9 a.m. and someone has already set off, that doesn't help them. So that's one of the kind of problems that we have here. There are issues around, getting messages through to passengers, and there have been phone lines that have been very busy and websites that have also had issues. And, I know that the 90 airlines that we work with at Heathrow have been bringing extra people to man those phone lines and doing more than they obviously previously were to get those up and running. And our commitment is obviously to helping people and improving the situation. But obviously there has been a lot of anger and a lot of frustration, and we are extremely sorry for that. And the focus now has to be on getting things up and running and getting people on their way. But obviously, our number one priority has to be safety, because obviously if we were to open up the airport and a plane was to skid off the runway, then people would obviously question why we didn't close the airport. So I think there is a situation here where we have weather that we've got. We've got lots of snow, we've got unprecedented temperatures for this time of year, and decisions have to be made that keep people safe. And obviously, you can't you can't keep people safe, ground planes, and not disrupt flights. And it's an unenviable situation for many, many people. And we're extremely sorry for the fact that people have had to stay at the airport and sleep on the floor. And I know that many, many airlines have been giving away thousands of hotel rooms and paying for thousands more with vouchers. So many people have been able to get out of the airport, and the numbers that were staying on Saturday night dropped considerably. I was there last night with a film crew from Sky late in Terminal 4, and it was relative calm compared to some of the problems that we've seen before on mobile phone footage. And I know that the staff at Heathrow, both BAA staff and staff that work for the airlines and all the other firms in the airport, have been doing an excellent job working round the clock. So, many people are committed to getting this back on track, and we appreciate there has been a lot of frustration, and obviously there have been thousands of staff that have not slept for a couple of days trying to get this back on track, and that includes everybody from the baggage handlers, the security staff, to the directors of the various airlines and airports that are at Heathrow as we speak.
We were hopeful, actually, of reflecting some of the hard work that many of your thousands of staff have been putting in, certainly at Terminal 5, but I know we weren't able to go and film there as we hoped, and as indeed originally was promised to us today. I don't know whether there's any sense in which you don't want to show us anything. I'm sure that's not
Colin,
true.
Just to be very clear, Colin, we had a Sky film crew in the terminal. We had a Sky film crew in Terminal 4 last night that we took in so that you could speak to passengers directly, and I believe Sky's been showing that footage. So I think, let's be very clear, we've been very open with Sky News over this whole procedure. Obviously, I've been here a few times talking to you, and what we're hoping to do today is get a Sky film crew into the airport so we can actually show you what's going on. So you have a commitment from BAA that we will be opening up the airport to Sky News to show you exactly what's going on. So I totally rebuke any accusation from you that we're not showing you what's going on, because that's exactly what we have been doing throughout this process. Obviously, there are many people that are frustrated, and we're extremely sorry for that disruption. But I think we're committed to getting things back moving. We're committed to showing you what's going on, Colin.
And I'm sure everybody will agree that transparency helps at times like this, doesn't it, to show that everybody's pulling in the same direction. Just one final word on what's going to happen in the future. Willie Walsh, the boss of BA, has said that we can expect significant disruption for days to come. You can't gaze in your meteorological crystal ball and know what the weather's going to do in the next 24, 48 hours. But what you can do is sit down with your people who plan out and game out what's going to happen, and see that Christmas is just around the corner, and particularly deal with some of the staff shortages which are likely to bother you, because we know that the roads around Heathrow are suffering. People sometimes who want to get to work and lend a hand can't even get in. What are you trying to do in terms of days to come? In particular, how are you ensuring that you've got the staff on hand to do some of the admirable work that you've been talking about, handing out the blankets, all the rest of it, making sure that your staff are actually here able to do the job that the crisis demands?
Well, that's very true. I mean, I was on my way to the airport this morning from another television studio, and there has been an accident on the M4 eastbound, which basically meant we had to stop here rather than go down to Heathrow. So that's a problem that many thousands of our staff are facing in terms of getting into the airport, and that's obviously hitting both staff shortages and the supply of blankets. But, you know, we've got thousands of staff at Heathrow that have been working round the clock, doing a fantastic job to try and get people moving. And what we're looking to do with that, we've got hourly phone calls across both of all of our operations team and the airlines that we work with, and they're looking at getting more staff in, getting people to stay on and manage the teams of people, and obviously ship in thousands of extra blankets, thousands of extra bottles of water and tea and coffee making facilities and all the other things that we need to keep people comfortable. But as Mr. Walsh said, we are expecting more issues with snow, freezing, fog and ice later on in the weekend, and it's obviously correct to say I'm not a meteorologist, but we need to be realistic about the level of disruption that we're anticipating, because if we do get more snow, we do get more ice, we are going to have more problems in terms of opening up the airfield and keeping things safe. So I think we need to be prepared for more snow, and we need to insist that passengers continue to check with their airlines before setting off for the airport, so we don't end up with more people descending on Heathrow and being disappointed because the weather has stopped their flights from departing.
Andrew Teacher, thanks very much indeed.
Many thanks.